It's impossible to get a booking anywhere else.
Even though the line is a little long, this place does get through the line very quickly.
Testing turmoil. COVID testing demand is high and the lines are long. What's driving the increase? Plus,
I'm really not that mad that we lost because I'm like, at least we made it this far.
We're switching conferences, and I think this is one of the last times that we're going to go undefeated in this situation. But I hope that we're going to go back to championships after this.
UC fans staying positive after a tough loss to Alabama in the Cotton Bowl. What's in store for the team and the university following a historic season?
From WLWT, this is Let's Talk Cincy, presented by Western and Southern Financial Group. Put our financial strength behind you.
COVID-19 cases are surging once again across greater Cincinnati and the nation. Hello, everyone. I'm Curtis Fuller, and welcome to Let's Talk Cincy. The beginning of 2022 looks a lot like last year, a reminder that this pandemic is far from over. Local school districts, colleges, and hospitals are feeling the brunt of the Omicron variant. Now, if you want evidence of how serious the surge is, just take a look at the most recent positivity rates. The increase in people testing positive for COVID-19 is at historic rates, and now even finding a test is becoming a frustrating, time-consuming scramble. Todd Dykes is covering the demand and the response.
After feeling sick for several days,
cough, runny nose, aches.
Sharon Schultz of Westwood decided to get tested for COVID-19. At first, all she ran into were roadblocks.
I didn't know how to go about it,
Schultz's daughter recommended this testing site at Crossroads West Side on Bridgetown Road.
And I was so grateful that somewhere in the Western Hills side of town has it. I'll feel better knowing if I don't have it or if I do. I want to know.
Colleen Kirkpatrick knows exactly where people like Schultz are coming from.
You can just tell by looking at them they're not at their best.
Kirkpatrick is with Newport-based Ethos Labs, which is partnering with Crossroads Church to create more testing options.
With the holidays that have just gone by, lots of individuals are getting those telephone calls of people testing positive, so they want to get out here as fast as possible.
Around midday today, getting a test with or without an appointment involved minimal wait times. Kirkpatrick says traffic ebbs and flows.
We got here at about 6:45 this morning and had a line wrapped all the way up. We expect people to want to get tested right before they go to work or before school when the time is most convenient. And we expect a very large crowd around that dinner hour or right after work.
Whatever time works best, Crossroads' Aaron Caproni says the church, with its spacious parking lots, is ready to serve.
Sometimes that service looks like responding to tornadoes. Sometimes it looks like feeding people who need food. And right now it looks like offering our parking lots as a space for people to come and get tested.
In educating the public on this pandemic, we often look to the CDC for guidance. Wearing masks, social distancing, testing, and then the vaccine. All of these are important. But Lacey Roberts spoke with two public health experts on why we're seeing a surge in testing now.
We were really good at testing in the beginning. What happened?
We never had enough. There were still long lines. We were being creative in trying to get to some of the people who couldn't get to the testing lines in some mobile vans going door to door in certain neighborhoods, especially in the inner city neighborhood, trying to get to the elderly. But then the vaccine came along and we pushed testing to a side. We then truly tried to get the public to embrace herd immunity. And we said, oh, we can get 60, and then the number went up to 65, up to 70% of the population vaccinated, it would contain the virus. Well, that was the first variation. Unfortunately, Delta came along, and we had to make some adjustments in the vaccine.
ER doctors echo the sentiments of needing testing, but see the vaccine as the best weapon against COVID.
If you talk to every hospital locally, they're overrun by the unvaccinated, being sick. I'm not really big on getting tested because I think it gives some people a false sense of security that, oh, well, I'm negative. I can go now, even though I'm sneezing, coughing, and got runny nose, I can go out in public with no protection. That's just not the case. And that's why Omicron's spreading so bad, is because so many people have these very mild cases. And either they didn't get tested and didn't know they had it, or got tested and it was false negative. So I think people need to realize that the vaccine is safe. It's been studied. It does work. And people will say, oh, well, but I have a friend that got COVID after they got the vaccine. And I immediately say, did they die? Well, no. That was what the vaccine was intended to do. Testing is hard to find now. It can be expensive. So why don't you just do the right thing, stay home, and if you absolutely have to go out, you put a mask on yourself.
But let me just say, there isn't a playbook for this. This is Deep Space Nine. We are learning, but still, I think we're not learning as fast from some of our mistakes or some of the things that we're learning from. And we should have kept the testing. Now testing is an issue, but guess what? Find a place to get tested. You can't buy a kit. We let our feet off the pedal too much. So you leave it to the experts. And we weren't, when I say we, I'm talking about the whole public health field, both locally, statewide, and federally, weren't allowed to really make those decisions without it first being filtered by the politicians. And that's where we made a mistake.
Now, as a reminder, both public health experts say we have gotten away from washing our hands frequently, wearing our masks in public, and maintaining 6 feet of distance. Up next.
A COVID crisis at sea. A local family shares its travel horror story. Just ahead on Let's Talk Cincy.
In some ways, it feels like the more things change, the more they stay the same in this war against COVID-19. The CDC is once again recommending that people avoid cruise ship travel. The agency issued a travel alert recently, the highest risk level. I talked with one local family expressing concern about safety after saying several family members got sick on board. And a travel consultant talks about the cruise industry, which now has 100 ships under CDC monitoring for COVID outbreaks.
Not saying shut the cruise industry down, but maybe we take a pause to come up with a game plan, which you would think they would have a game plan by now, given it's been 2 years. But I still think there's quite a bit of chaos, and this new variant is highly contagious.
Sandy Scardina of Cincinnati says 5 members of her family tested positive for COVID during a cruise to Mexico that began last Sunday.
My family had asked several times. They will not give them an indication of how many people were sick, which is scary in itself.
This comes at a time when the cruise line industry is once again under the microscope. In fact, the CDC issued a warning just days ago that people should avoid cruise travel, regardless of their vaccination status. Scardina says her mom, dad, aunt, sister, and brother-in-law are vaccinated, but obviously still vulnerable.
They came in their rooms after my aunt was diagnosed at like 1:30 in the morning. They came to all the rooms in hazmat suits. You're going to knock at the door and there's somebody standing in a hazmat suit. They all tested positive.
The CDC's travel alert is clear. There has been an increase in the number of COVID-19 cases among cruise passengers and crew. In addition, there's been an increased number of cruise ships under investigation.
I think one of the main things that was concerning to me is how they exited them off the ship, and they were already ready to load all new passengers on the ship.
We do respect the CDC's guidelines. The cruise lines, though, in fact, have done a great job, and AAA commends their efforts to strictly enforce their safety protocols and to continue to explore and search other ways to keep their passengers as well as the crew members safe. So as a destination in itself, cruising is continuing, but people need to make their own risk assessment.
And this footnote, Sandy Scardina said her family members are now recovering down in Tampa. Meanwhile, the Cruise Lines International Association called the CDC decision perplexing and disagrees with the move to single out the cruise industry. Still to come.
A historic season for the Cincinnati Bearcat football. what it means for the future of the team and the university when Let's Talk Cincy returns.
Well, it doesn't feel great right now, but you know, when we at least have the opportunity to step back here and reflect a little bit more and recognize where it is that we've come from, and I mean that just in the last 5 years, and I mean that with this group of guys.
It's been a journey of ups and downs throughout this past 5 years. You know, I've met a lot of brothers and a lot of good close friends that are going to be with me for the rest of my life.
It's amazing. You know, I've been a Bearcat fan since I can't even remember. I remember watching the Sugar Bowl. We also got blown out there. But still, you know, it's really exciting, really amazing, and I hope that the Bearcats can continue this for seasons to come.
It means everything, really. I mean, I started sophomore year, we got ourselves on the map. Last year they didn't really respect us too much, but this year I feel like we've gotten a lot of respect.
With me now is someone who needs no introduction. He is WLWT Sports Director George Vogel. And George, thank you for coming on the show.
Pleasure.
Hey, let's talk about UC Bearcat football. Just an amazing year, huh?
What a season. What a season. A year that nobody could have really imagined. I mean, I know we had the Sugar Bowl, the Orange Bowl, about 10 years ago, and that showed it could be done. But then when you go out of the Big East that had a straight path to those bowl games, then you go to the American Conference, which doesn't have a straight path to those bowl games, and you're like, will this ever happen again? And for them to achieve what they did, not only to get to one of those major bowl games, which is tough in and of itself coming out of the American, but to the 4-team playoff is something I really think most college football observers thought that would never happen. But it did, and they're going to expand it, I think, at some point here in the next few years, but it may not happen again. I mean, it just is amazing that someone could come out of that format, the way college football is structured, and make it to the Final Four like that.
Coach Fickell is very impressive. I've been impressed with him since day one.
Yep. Yeah. Strikes the right tone at all times. After the loss, he struck the right tone talking about those seniors, and it was more than 30 seniors, some of them 5th and even 6th-year guys that had poured their heart and soul into that program and made a difference. A lot of them were transfers that came into the program but were originally from Cincinnati. You had Darian Beavers from Coleraine High School, Brian Cook from Mount Healthy. Those guys came back and made an impact on this team. And then, of course, Desmond Ritter, the quarterback, who, you know, was a skinny redshirt freshman when he went into the UCLA game and won that with his will. And, boy, the rest was history after that. And Coach Fickell, he made it a priority to recruit Ohio. When Tommy Tuberville was here, and not to bang on Tubbs, but it seemed like Ohio and Cincinnati were no priority in that recruiting. And it's got to be for Cincinnati to succeed. In the past, they always succeeded. It might not be the top tier guys out of the GMC, the GCL, the city, wherever. It might be the second tier, but those guys developed and became pretty good players and allowed UC to have some success on the football field. And it felt like those guys were kind of being ignored. Coach Fickell came in and wanted to build a fence around the place. And he has done a really good job grabbing a lot of talent. And as that happened, and as he got these local kids to buy in, then he started getting guys like, you know, 4-star quarterback Evan Prater from Wyoming, 4-star linebacker Jaheim Thomas from Princeton, guys like that, you know, Mal Glenn from Walnut Hills, a great offensive lineman, young guy, but all kinds of promise, strong as an ox. Guys like that wouldn't have been UC material are now coming to the University of Cincinnati because they're playing with guys they grew up with. And it's a neat thing he's developed here. And then he's filling in. My goodness, they've done a great job elsewhere recruiting. But what he calls the state of Cincinnati and the 300-mile radius around Cincinnati is where the bulk of his players come from, and it has worked.
You know, seeing UC on this national stage, you start to think what that means for the university, what it means for the city to get the type of attention that we received. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, the day that they were included in the playoff, that the playoff 4 teams were announced on that Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon. And then later that day, I'm with Brandon Sejo. We're down in the sports office, and there's a news conference with Nick Saban, who is maybe the greatest coach ever in college football and always on the national stage. And he's talking about the Cincinnati Bearcats. And it's like, something's not adding up here. This is so crazy. And then, you know, it was hyped from that point on until New Year's Eve when the game was played. You could not turn on your television on these sports networks without seeing that 4-team playoff and Cincinnati up there with Alabama, with Georgia, with Michigan. That's pretty good company in college football that, you know, will they be able to keep it consistently? I'm not sure, but it certainly raises your profile and puts you in the mind of not only the kids that are high school football players and say, oh, wow, it can happen at Cincinnati, but just kids who like to be involved in those things, the students that go to the games. When I was a student, I don't even know there was a student section. You had a pass, you had your student ID, and you could get into the football game free. Just show your student ID, you walk in the gate. And there would not be very many people there. Now you have to get on a priority list and make sure you have your tickets and all that stuff. And they'll have 7,000 to 8,000 students at a game. We would not have that many students for the season. And they're getting it in one game.
Wow. I was going to ask you about that kid who was in college, that kid being George Vogel. and fast forward to now, what must have been racing through your mind, too, as an alum of UC?
It's incredible. I remember being at a game my first year there. It was the late 70s, and Florida State comes in, ranked 6th in the country. Well, they're going to kill UC. UC was 2-9 that season. Well, at halftime, UC has the lead, and it's like something's going on here, and there's not much of a crowd. But then as some students around campus, and it was still a large commuter school then, but the crowd started growing as the game went on. It was really weird. Like the third quarter, they had a decent crowd then that people were hearing from word of mouth, and you could just walk in then. Can you imagine now just walking in, you know, to watch the football game? No, it wouldn't happen that way. But the crowd grew, and then, of course, UC lost a tough one. It was a close game, but you go from that, and you go from where they were begging people. Heck, I had people who worked at UC telling me in the 90s they would go to Fountain Square and try to give away tickets to the game the next day. And a lot of people be like, no thanks. No thanks. And now, you know, there's maybe not a waiting list for season tickets, but there's much more demand. I mean, the stadium was sold out pretty much all year this year. Those are things you just never imagined. I mean, they almost dropped the program in the 70s, then talked again.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, and then talked again in the early 90s when Nippert was somewhat condemned and they had to redo it. They had Tim Murphy as a head coach who left UC to go to Harvard and coach football. Now, if your coach leaves for Harvard, you're not a football school, right? You don't have it going on in football, and that happened to UC. And thankfully, Rick Minner came in and did a nice job for 10 years. Bob Goying came in as the athletic director. That was one of the big things that happened to UC football was Bob Goying coming in, recognizing got to get them in a conference, got to make it grow, get Varsity Village going. All those things, all those ingredients, it took a while, but his vision, you know, came to fruition this year.
It sure did. Hey, thank you for doing this because it is the story. I know everyone's talking about the Bengals, too.
Yeah, and that could be the story in a couple weeks.
Absolutely, but the UC story of this year and
the rags to riches is unbelievable.
It really is. Thanks a lot.
You got it.
Hey, we're going to talk more about UC coming up right after the break. Stay with us. Finally today, the University of Cincinnati has seen strong enrollment numbers over the past decade, and all of the attention will be a plus going forward. So how will students benefit from this national hype? The University of Cincinnati scored big with its football program being on one of the largest stages in college sports, the Cotton Bowl. Most would agree the national attention is a great win for the city and the university.
But will it translate into real dollars and cents for the average student wanting to attend the UC?
For the average kid, I would say probably not. For anyone who is athletic, who wants, who's being recruited by the schools, I would assume that would help, yeah. But you've also got Xavier, who's been on the national stage in basketball, and KU. A few years ago, they were on the national stage in basketball. So you've got a lot of you've got a few schools here that are nationally recognized, but they're still expensive to go to. And the schools can't afford to give everybody a free ride, so that's where organizations like the Scholarship Foundation try and help as much as we can.
Ned Herzenberg is the president of the Cincinnati Scholarship Foundation, as he prepares to step down from that position after nearly 40 years. He says the need for funding is more critical today than it's ever been. Just in the past 15 years, he says the Cincinnati Scholarship Foundation has awarded more than $24 million to more than 17,000 students. But the funds needed were 10 times the amount awarded.
I think the only way to solve it is to increase the amounts of the federal and state grants. Now we have the students who don't, who have all that need, they're taking out student loans. The parents are taking out PLUS loans, so you've got a very indebted group of people who are having trouble finding their way out of it. I think that's why there's so much talk about eliminating student loans, which I don't think is the right thing to do. But I think there has to be some kind of a compromise as to stretching out the amount that these people, the amount they have to pay every month, something to allow them to concentrate on other things rather than paying off their student loans. If you have two people who have $60,000 apiece in student loans, which I think is about the average, you're looking at a mortgage payment. So these people can't even afford to buy a house because they've got a mortgage payment just in student loans.
Well, no doubt the cost of college will remain a big issue in this year and ahead. We want to hear from you. Email us your ideas. The address is ltc@wlwt.com. Remember, you can also watch full episodes or get more information on wlwt.com/Let's Talk Cincy. And check us out on Let's Talk Cincy on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. That's all the time. Have a nice day, everyone.